With just those 2 seconds, you are most likely able to recognize one of the most influential and popular series of our time, which is of course Star Wars. I first heard that sound from a DVD my brothers played through our dusty old cathode ray TV in 2000, and I was hooked. From 4 years old, taken by the fast pod races and heroic lightsaber duels, and for the last 23 years, I've watched and delved into the Star Wars universe again and again, each time learning something new. And I know it sounds almost childish to say that you learnt life lessons from a sci-fi series, but like fables of old that teach us morals and lessons, so too is Star Wars, a fable of hope, redemption, and pain. This is the lessons embedded within Star Wars. Hope. Star Wars taught me to dream to be something more than I currently am. In episode 4, we're introduced to a boy on the dusty planet of Tatooine. Luke often looks to the horizon, hopeful for a future where he has achieved his dreams of flying and adventure. Just as far as the sun looks to him, so too are his dreams. His current circumstances show no evidence of such a future nearing. The only thing pushing him forwards was an unwavering hope for the future.
I told you I'd make it someday.
We see this echoed in Anakin's story in episode 1. Anakin doesn't come from money or status. He's a slave boy on the desert planet of Tatooine. Yet he still chooses to hope that he's destined for great things and perseveres until one day his path crosses with 2 fortunate Jedi.
I take Anakin as my Padawan learner.
Which sets into place him becoming one of the most powerful Jedi in his time. Much the same for Luke. They made do with what they had and did the best they could. Growing up, my family wasn't poor by any means. We had lots. We were a middle-class family, but there were also lots of things we didn't have. Sometimes there were times when I was a kid I wished I had more. One such time was when I asked my parents if they could buy me a lightsaber toy, and unfortunately we couldn't afford it. So instead, I collected all the empty toilet paper rolls in the bin and joined them all together end to end to make a big pole. My mission was simple: to make a lightsaber. I stayed up till 3 a.m. that night building and painting 4 lightsabers. My parents awoke to bins full of unrolled toilet paper. But in that moment, my hope materialized by using what I had around me. My parents saw this and then bought me a lightsaber later for my birthday that year. Now, this is just a silly, small story, but it echoed into bigger aspects of my life. In my younger years, I was always put into the bottom classes and always felt dumb. I didn't know I was going to become a doctor one day, and I hoped, but it wasn't guaranteed. And that continued hope built over years and is what held me fast when people would tell me not to try the hardest classes because that was for smart kids. It was this delusional hope that I saw in Star Wars that pushed me to where I am now. Star Wars taught me that I could have more, be more than what I currently saw. Redemption. For some years of my life, I lied, I cheated, I stole in my younger years, did things that I wish I hadn't, and lived a life that wasn't in line with who I really aspired to be. And so I often would feel regret or disappointment in myself. And in those times, I would often watch Star Wars. At the time, I had no idea why watching Star Wars was so comforting until I finally realized the whole story of Star Wars is about redemption. A young, talented Anakin with limitless potential gets corrupted by his dark side traits and becomes the embodiment of malevolence. Anakin breathes into the cauldron of chaos and lets free the hounds of hell, personified as Darth Vader. But Star Wars shows that there is redemption even for pure evil. How even from our lowest points and biggest failures, there is a path forward to getting better. When the Emperor Palpatine is torturing Luke, Darth Vader sees his son suffering and the consequences of his actions, leading to his only son about to die. So he makes a split decision to do the right thing and save Luke. In that moment, he's not bereft of all the pain and killing he's caused by doing this, but he has finally made a step in the right direction. And for that, he can be at peace with himself. And with this peace, he's able to transcend and be at peace with the Force, appearing as a Force ghost, an ability only so few were able to do. And it's through his mistakes, he was able to find salvation. Funnily enough, it reminds me of a Kendrick Lamar song which goes, "My past won't keep me from my best." It helped me understand flaws and how everyone is human, even the best of us fall and make mistakes. But also, Star Wars taught me to incorporate your dark side and to try and give it a healthy outlet. Luke giving into love and attachment, which is traditionally seen as dark side, but it's this love of his father that ultimately makes him the hero, because he finds a healthy outlet for this and saves Darth Vader or Anakin. For me, it was channeling my dark side of impulsivity and thrill-seeking and giving it an outlet. Signing up for triathlons, riding the world's most dangerous plane ride, climbing mountains and quitting my job. I used what used to destroy my life into a force that helps me advance my life. Pain. Pain is a theme that courses through the veins of all 6 original films. We see Anakin's immense pain in the loss of his mother and eventually Padme, but also Luke's pain in losing his aunt, uncle, and Obi-Wan. Yet both characters' fates end up vastly different. Luke's pain drives him to be better, whereas Anakin's destroys him. And the pivotal reason for this duality is how each character processes pain. Anakin was taken into the Jedi at a young age. From age 9, his feelings were vilified. He was taught that emotions are bad and stoicism is good. Meanwhile, Luke was introduced to the Jedi at a much later age. He had already experienced the pain of loss before being taught Jedi philosophy. So when he was instructed that hiding his emotions would be in his best interest, he was already experienced enough to defy said advice. To quote Pop Culture Detective's YouTube channel, long before he donned the mask of Darth Vader, Anakin is instructed to wear another mask, a mask of emotional invulnerability. Anakin isn't taught how to process and work through painful emotions in a healthy way. Instead, he hides it out of shame, so it festers into deeper fears and aggressions. Luke, on the other hand, chooses not to always bottle up his vulnerable feelings and instead to lean into them. He vocalizes his objections and defies Jedi philosophies. He embraces his attachment to his friends and father and shows his vulnerability. And because of this, Luke is able to transcend his pain rather than be destroyed by it. Star Wars shows the restorative power or crippling destruction pain has to offer. It argues that, although unsavory, pain can motivate you to achieve unbelievable things if you process it healthily. Some of my biggest achievements in life have come off the back of my most painful moments in life. My mind goes to an adolescent me when I had just gone through a messy breakup of a relationship of many years, and I remember wanting to show everyone that they were wrong for casting me aside as the dumb kid that they felt sorry for. But that put immense pressure on my shoulders and just overwhelmed me. It wasn't until I was open about my emotions to myself and admit that I was hurt, that I was able to finally achieve some amounts of success. By identifying the emotion, I didn't have to spend energy hiding it, instead use that energy on bettering my life. The key was allowing the pain to make you feel vulnerable, and then from there, rebuilding. This week's video was a little different, but I deeply enjoyed making it, so please let me know if you enjoyed it by liking the video. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Until then, have a good one.